Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Jane McCarthy. 8 straight days of snow and about 2 feet of snow has fallen in Spokane since Thursday of last week.
There is a decent chance that we won't make it to 9 days. Tom Sherry knows best. Let's get straight to him in the Weather Center. Tom.
Yeah, let's do a quick recap of this snowfall. You know, we had such a mild December and January. Well, here we are in February. And today, as you mentioned, 8th day of snowfall, officially out at the airport, measured 2 inches of snow. So this year so far, February 29th, and we're not even done with the month. We've already picked up 23 inches of snow. We normally get about 7. And last year, for the entire month of February, we picked up 12 inches. And if you're keeping score at home, we picked up just under 43 inches of snow so far this year. And we still have another couple more weeks of February to go. All right, 30 degrees right now. Wind is out of the southwest at 13 miles an hour. It snowed pretty good today, and now those snow showers have moved off to the north of us. As you can see them there on the Doppler radar into northeastern Washington and portions of northern Idaho. Should be mostly dry for the rest of this evening and overnight. Could see a few scattered snow showers Saturday, about a 40% chance of that happening, and then mostly cloudy skies Sunday. Although in northern Idaho, I think you could get a chance of a few Sunday snow showers as well. It'll be 33 on Saturday, 29 degrees expected on Sunday. I'll have your 7-day outlook coming up in a few minutes.
Sounds good, Tom. Thank you very much. A boat owner in Post Falls got some unwelcome news this week when they found out a boat had sunk. It happened at Templin's Marina below the Red Lion Hotel. The boat was moored at the dock for the winter.
Our Taylor Vito traveled there and has more.
So there it is, the boat that's partially under the water here at Templin's. Certainly not a fun sight and not a fun smell either. You can smell fuel in the air. But to put this in perspective, we wanted to know how rare or how common is something like this and what can be done to prevent it.
A handful of guys, including a diver, were at Templin's trying to take care of the mess. The boat sank yesterday. Here's a photo. But over the course of today, crews were able to get it back above water the way it should be. The boat was being moored here for the winter and probably had some snow in it. Now, we can't be sure if that's what sank it, though. We're still waiting on an official word. You may be surprised. There's often other factors in play that may sink a boat during the winter.
The bilge pump's running all the time, then the batteries end up getting burned up.
That's Jason Garvey of North Idaho Maritime talking with me 2 years ago for a similar story. I called him back today to ask about this story. He also pointed out that piping and other aspects of a boat can freeze, causing water to stay on a boat. And plenty of times, yes, heavy snow can weigh a boat down and cause it to take on water. It's hard to tell how much snow could cause that, though. As to why someone would moor their boat on the water for the winter, that's case by case. In some instances, leaving a boat on the water year-round could be cheaper than pulling it out. For now, we can only assume the skipper of this vessel will have no choice but to dry it out on land. In Post Falls, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.
So I'm going to be signing a national emergency.
With that, President Donald Trump made his call for a national emergency official. He also signed the bill that would avoid another government shutdown. He is now facing criticism from some Republicans and potential lawsuits as well. Eastern Washington Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers released a statement opposing the president's decision.
She says it sets a precedent for future presidents to declare national emergencies when they don't get what they want from Congress.
Washington Senators Maria Cantwell and Patty Murray also released statements saying they also disagree with the president's decision.
During his speech today, the president made a long list of claims about the border, immigration, and violence.
Our Verified team went to work to find out whether those claims are accurate.
Mexico, China, and a new national emergency on our southern border. The president's speech covered a lot of ground. Let's start with our southern border and a claim about Mexican crime.
They have their own problems. They have the largest number of murders that they've ever had in their history. Almost 40,000 murders, 40,000.
The president was referring to Mexico here, and his claim is verified. 2018 did have the highest homicide rate on record in Mexico, but his number is slightly off. Numbers reported by Mexico's Secretary of Public Safety show about 40,000 homicide cases reported through November last year. But a more recent report raises it to about 50,000 homicide cases in 2018. That's the highest on record. Now to China.
Death penalty. We give death penalty to people that sell drugs.
President Trump cited a conversation with Chinese President Xi Jinping. He says the Chinese leader claimed they give the death penalty to drug traffickers. That claim is verified. China doesn't publish data on how many executions they've done, but it is a legal punishment in the country for drug traffickers. Amnesty International cites them as one of 33 countries who have the death penalty for drug offenses.
I said, you have a drug problem. No, no, no. I said, you have 1.4 billion people. What do you mean you have no drug problem?
Now, President Trump said because of the death penalty, the Chinese president claimed they don't have a drug problem. That claim is false. The Chinese National Narcotics Control Commission released numbers back in 2016. They estimated 2.5 million known drug users in the country and an additional 13 million they didn't have registered. Bottom line, they've seen an increase in drug users almost yearly, indicating the problem is only getting worse. The Chinese agency is publishing this information directly. We can verify the claim they don't have a drug problem is false. We've looked into more of these claims online, but if you have more questions about the national emergency or claims in the president's speech, send us an email. With your Verify, I'm Jason Puckett.
According to a Quinnipiac University poll from late last month, 2/3 or 66% of Americans do not approve of the president using his emergency executive powers to fund a wall. The president plans to spend $8 billion on the wall. He plans to take more than $3.5 billion from the Department of Defense. Several lawmakers say they plan to sue the president over that.
My heart goes out to the victims and their families who simply went to work today like any other day.
Breaking news now in Aurora, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago. Police just announced at least 5 people are dead and 5 police officers are injured after a gunman opened fire. This happened inside a manufacturing plant.
Police say multiple others are also injured. They believe the gunman is a 45-year-old man who worked at the company. He died during a shootout with police.
Lawmakers on a budget-setting committee voted unanimously to approve money for a new veterans home in North Idaho. That budget still has to pass the House and Senate. If passed, $42 million would go toward the new home in Post Falls. More than half of that money would come from the federal government. The state is set to pay the remainder. The new veterans home would bring the total to 4 in the entire state of Idaho.